Ari McDonald, a massive fan favorite, sitting out there unemployed right now. Odyssey Sims, another fan favorite, is sitting out there unemployed right now. They could have simply just brought Ari McDonald back to back up Caitlin. I mean, literally, Ari McDonald could have just been Caitlin Clark's backup. Easy peasy. Move on with life.
That panic you just heard? That's genuine confusion from someone watching the Indiana Fever make the same roster decision over and over again, and he's not wrong to be concerned. Because while every other contender in the WNBA is adding size, length, and defensive versatility, the Fever just signed their 8th guard. Not a power forward, not a center, another guard, 5'9" Shatori Walker-Kimbrell, who averaged 1.7 points per game last season with Atlanta. So the question everyone's asking, what exactly is the plan here?
He's going to miss the season again. My team is funny as hell. Are you kidding me? All we're signing is guards. I mean, let's just go over here. Collecting short guards like gold coins. I don't know what we're doing. I don't know what we're doing. Just a guard in every position. Just put them all out there.
Let's put this in perspective. The Fever now have 8 guards on their roster heading into training camp. 8. They have 3 forwards and 1 center. That's a roster construction you'd expect from a team tanking for draft picks, not a franchise that just made the playoffs behind the league's most valuable rookie. And here's what makes this particularly baffling. 2 quality guards are sitting out there unemployed right now. Erica Wheeler, a massive fan favorite who knows Caitlin Clark's game intimately. Odyssey Sims, another proven veteran. The Fever could have brought either one back as a simple backup option. Instead, they used their 10th overall pick in the draft on Raven Johnson, another guard. Then they signed Walker-Kimbrell. Meanwhile, teams like Las Vegas and New York are stacking their rosters with size and depth at every position.
Leaving or something? I hope we get a trade request announcement because the rest of the teams are stacking and we're playing. Another guard. Let me guess, another guard, you effing morons. You do not care about winning at this point. Nah, this is wild. How badly do you want Caitlin playing? Laughing my effing ass off, another 5'9" guard. Malicious, incompetent, stupid. Oh, God. We can't make this up. That's me.
The frustration is understandable because this isn't happening in a vacuum. Look at what the competition is doing. The New York Liberty returned virtually their entire championship roster. They've got size, they've got shooting, they've got elite defense at multiple positions. The Las Vegas Aces just locked up A'ja Wilson with a 3-year, $5 million Supermax deal, the largest contract in WNBA history, fully guaranteed, negotiated by Clutch Sports. That's a statement of intent. And then there's the Aces' other move, the one that's going to change the entire landscape of the Western Conference.
They wanted to blackball her. They tried to ban her. Chennedy Carter is back. That's right. Chennedy Carter is back in the league. After we all know what happened with her and Caitlin Clark. Chennedy Carter to sign with the Las Vegas Aces. Got to be honest, guys, it's one of the more shrewd moves I have seen in a long time. She is a complete wrecking ball of a player, and she scores at will. She is dynamic. I know a lot of people, look, I did not like the fact that she was out of the league. I know a lot of my fellow content creators also didn't like it. None of us liked it. I know CDS thought she should be in the league. Ben Daniel thought she should be in the league. I thought she should be in the league. The W360 Kennedy Carter's.
Chennedy Carter is back in the league, and before anyone starts with the moral arguments, let's be clear about what this means from a pure basketball perspective. This is one of the shrewdest roster moves we've seen in years. Yes, Carter hip-checked Caitlin Clark last June. Yes, it was dirty. Yes, she should have been suspended. But here's what else is true. Chennedy Carter is a top 10 scorer in this league. She went to China during her year away and routinely dropped 40 points. Routinely. We talk about Kelsey Mitchell's dynamic scoring ability, and rightfully so. Chennedy Carter can score just like Kelsey Mitchell. She's a complete wrecking ball of a player who attacks the basket at will. The WNBA tried to blackball her. Multiple content creators, including myself, argued she should have been suspended and then brought back. Because in a league that desperately needs talent, keeping one of your 20 best players out of the league entirely makes zero sense, and now Vegas gets her at a discount, probably on a prove-it deal while she's motivated to rebuild her reputation.
Away from Angel Reese's influence. I don't know. I saw an interview with her last year. I did a video on it. She seems, in my opinion, maybe she's learned some lessons. I don't know. I do know one thing. She went to China and dropped 40 routinely. And we talk about Kelsey Mitchell and her dynamic scoring. Chennedy Carter can score just like Kelsey Mitchell. Make no mistake about it. She's dynamite. And
Think about what the Aces just constructed. Aja Wilson, the 4-time MVP, locked in long-term. Kelsey Plum and Chelsea Gray running the backcourt. And now Chennedy Carter coming off the bench as a sixth woman who can give you 20 points in instant offense. That's a championship-caliber rotation. Compare that to Indiana. Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell are legitimate stars. Aaliyah Boston is developing into an elite two-way center. Lexi Hull showed real growth last season. But where's the depth? Where's the size? Where's the defensive versatility to match up with teams that can throw 3 different looks at you? The Fever have Sophie Cunningham, who's a solid role player. They have Lexi Hull, and then they have 8 guards, most of whom are under 6 feet tall. When New York throws out a lineup with Brianna Stewart, Jonquel Jones, and Sabrina Ionescu, who's guarding who?
There it is. Chennedy Carter is back with the Aces. Holy shit. I mean, good luck to the Fever. Because I think a lot of people are assuming, oh, well, it's Caitlin. And look, Caitlin may win the MVP. I doubt it. Because I think Stephanie White's going to cost her that. But
And then there's Atlanta, the Dreamer being slept on. And that's a mistake. Yes, we can criticize Angel Reese's game all we want, but that Dream roster is stacked with length and athleticism. They've got size at every position. They can switch defensively. They can rebound. And in a league where most teams struggle to score in the half-court, having that kind of defensive versatility matters. The Fever don't have that. They have guards. Lots and lots of guards.
But Caitlin Clark, Kelsey Mitchell, Aaliyah Boston, Sophie Cunningham, Lexi Hull, that is not enough to win the title. Not with what the Liberties put together, not with what the Aces have put together. And guys and gals, the Dream, we can hate on Angel Reese all we want. That dream team is stacked. And guess what? Has a ton of length on it. Fever ain't got no length. Really? Where's our depth?
Now, could Caitlin Clark win MVP next season? Absolutely. She's talented enough. She proved last year that she can dominate games in ways we haven't seen from a rookie in WNBA history. But here's the problem. Stephanie White's coaching decisions might cost her that award. We saw it last season with Christy Sides making baffling rotation choices and defensive schemes. If White falls into the same patterns, if she doesn't maximize Clark's strengths while covering her weaknesses, then all that individual talent doesn't translate to team success and individual awards. Those often come down to team record. If the Fever finish 6th in the league again because they can't defend bigger lineups, Clark's not winning MVP no matter how good her numbers are. Here's what makes this entire situation so frustrating for Fever fans. The front office clearly has a plan. They're not stupid. They're making calculated decisions. But from the outside, those decisions look increasingly disconnected from the reality of how championship teams are built in this league. You don't win WNBA titles with 8 guards and 1 center. You just don't. The math doesn't work. The matchups don't work. When you're facing elimination in a playoff series and the other team goes big, who are you putting on the floor? Caitlin Clark at 6 feet, Kelsey Mitchell at 5'8", and 3 more guards under 6 feet. That's not a championship rotation. That's a recipe for getting dominated on the glass and in the paint. Let's talk about what the Fever could have done differently. They had the 10th overall pick in the draft. They could have taken a power forward or center with size and athleticism. Someone who could give Aaliyah Boston a legitimate front-court partner. Instead, they took Raven Johnson, another guard. A good player, sure, but another guard, Erica Wheeler, was sitting right there. A veteran who played with Clark at Iowa, who understands her game, who could mentor her through the ups and downs of a long season. Wheeler's a proven WNBA player who can run an offense and defend. The Fever could have simply brought her back as Clark's primary backup. Problem solved. Instead, Wheeler's unemployed, and the Fever have 8 guards who largely play the same position. Odyssey Sims, same story. Quality veteran, knows how to play, can't find a job. Meanwhile, Indiana keeps adding more and more guards to a roster that desperately needs size and defensive versatility. And now Shatori Walker-Kimbrell. Look, she won a championship with Washington in 2019, so she knows what it takes, but she's 5'9" and averaged 1.7 points per game last season in limited minutes. What is she bringing to this roster that the other 7 guards don't already provide? The only logical explanation is that the front office sees something the rest of us don't. Maybe they're planning to play an ultra-small, ultra-fast lineup that just overwhelms teams with pace and shooting. Maybe they think they can outscore everyone, and defense doesn't matter. Maybe they're banking on Caitlin Clark being so transcendent that roster construction becomes irrelevant, but that's not how the WNBA works. You can't just outscore good teams. You have to be able to defend. You have to be able to rebound. You have to be able to match up when the other team goes big. And right now, the Fever can't do any of those things consistently. Compare this to what Vegas is doing. They identified a need for bench scoring and perimeter creation. They found Chennedy Carter, a player with baggage but undeniable talent, and they signed her at what's probably a team-friendly deal. That's smart roster construction, that's identifying value and taking calculated risks. Or look at New York. They won a championship and basically ran it back. Why? Because they had the right mix of size, skill, shooting, and defense. They didn't need to reinvent the wheel. They just needed to keep the machine running. The Fever are trying to build something, but it's unclear what that something is, and that's the problem. When your roster construction doesn't have a clear identity, when you're just accumulating players at the same position without a coherent plan for how they fit together, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. Now, maybe this all works out. Maybe Stephanie White is a genius who sees rotations and matchups that nobody else does. Maybe having 8 guards allows her to constantly attack with fresh legs and overwhelming speed. Maybe the Fever play a style of basketball that makes traditional size irrelevant. But based on what we know about how teams win in the WNBA, based on what the top contenders are doing, based on the basic principles of roster construction, this doesn't make sense, and Fever fans have every right to be confused and frustrated. Because at the end of the day, Caitlin Clark, Kelsey Mitchell, and Aaliyah Boston deserve better than this. They deserve a roster built to maximize their talents and compete for championships. They deserve a supporting cast with size, length, and defensive ability. They deserve a front office that looks at what Vegas, New York, and Atlanta are doing and says we need to match that. Instead, they're getting an 8th guard, so what happens now? Training camp will tell us a lot. We'll see how these pieces fit together. We'll see if Stephanie White has a system that makes this work. We'll see if the Fever can compete with the league's elite teams despite their obvious size disadvantage. But if I'm a Fever fan, I'm worried. Because while my team is collecting guards like they're going out of style, the teams I need to beat in the playoffs are getting bigger, stronger, and more talented. And that gap isn't closing. If anything, it's getting wider. So here's my question for you. Is there any scenario where this roster construction makes sense? Can you build a championship contender in the WNBA with 8 guards, 3 forwards, and 1 center? Or is Indiana setting themselves up for another early playoff exit while Caitlin Clark's prime years slip away? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Tell me if I'm missing something. Tell me if you see the vision that the Fever front office clearly has, because right now, I don't see it. And based on the reaction from fans, I'm not the only one. If you want more honest WNBA analysis without the corporate spin, hit that subscribe button. We're just getting started breaking down the moves that matter as teams build toward next season. This league is changing fast, and we're going to cover every angle.